Hi folks, this is Tim Sundles finishing up videos from Africa because we're headed home in a few days. You're not going to hear from us for another week or more. Travel home from Africa is, especially our home, it's very remote, is a long process. It usually takes us about 2.5 days to get home. Anyway, I want to talk about something I can't really say it's a pet peeve, but I get more questions about it and there's more misunderstanding about it than most things in the gun industry. And there's plenty of things out there in the gun industry that there's a lot of misunderstanding about. I want to talk about FTFs. And in this context, an FTF is not a failure to feed, it's a failure to fire. And I don't think there's any more deafening sound in the whole world then you need your gun to go off, and when you pull the trigger, you get a click, not a bang. I mean, if you're in a hunting situation, I haven't had that happen in a self-defense situation, but I've had it happen hunting. And I mean, that click is so loud, it like echoes in your head for maybe 2 days. It just keeps reverberating. So let's talk about failures to fire. Now, most people think they stick a bullet in their gun and they pull the trigger and nothing goes bang. Well, it was the bullet, which is actually a cartridge. It was the cartridge that didn't go bang, therefore there's something wrong with the cartridge. Okay, I need to really dispel some myths here. First of all, in the hundreds of millions of primers we've gone through, I have never experienced any such thing as a bad batch of primers. No. That's the easy way out. Primers are, at least the US made ones, and actually most of the foreign made ones I've used are very, very precise. And they all have to be made within an industry tolerance of how hard they are to ignite, how they ignite, how much fission they generate. They're all made within a certain set of tolerances. Sure, some are harder to ignite than others, but they're still within the industry tolerance. So let's throw all that, well, these are too hard to ignite, baloney, out the door, or this is a bad batch of primers, out the door. I've spent 30 years chasing down FTFs because I get people all the time, well, I bought your ammo and put it in my gun and it wouldn't fire. Okay. In the early years, I chased all those down. I even had people send me guns. Let's talk about some of the causes of FTFs. And can it be the ammo? Yes. And it can also be the ammo in combination with certain aspects of the gun, or it can be all the gun, which in most cases it is. But people don't know that because the cartridge didn't go bang, therefore it's the fault of the cartridge. Again, firearms have a multitude of moving parts that all have to be in spec. So, you've got all these moving parts, let's say in a 1911. Everything from the hammer to the mainspring to the trigger to how the slide operates, whether it goes in battery or not, etc., has to work in unison in order to get a properly functioning firing mechanism. And to me, that's all guns are, is a firing mechanism. So I made a list of notes here, which I don't usually do, but I'll forget some of these causes that I have discovered of FTFs because I used to investigate all these. Okay, did you know the length of your firing pin, not just being too short, but being too long, will definitely cause FTFs? Did you know that the shape of your firing pin can cause FTFs? Or worse yet, pierced primers. Probably one of the main causes, and often it's a combination of causes within the gun, but probably one of the main ones is the main spring. I used to get people call me up and go, this is back in the days when I actually had time to answer phones and answer emails. I miss those days. I mean, now I get 2, 3, 400 emails a day. I mean, I'm overwhelmed. But they used to go, I bought me this gun and I put your bullets in it and they won't shoot. Some of them shoot, some of them don't. And so I know it's your primers because I tried to fire the same one 3 times and it just won't shoot. Okay. First of all, if your firing pin strikes a primer and doesn't ignite it, guess what? You just killed it. It's a dead primer. Now, maybe you can strike it twice without igniting it, and it might still be a live primer. But after 2 times, that's it. You're never going to get it to ignite. So give up on that idea. And I'd have people that had like a K-frame they bought used from a neighbor or a friend. Well, it just won't shoot your ammo. Every 3rd shot, I get an FTF. Really? Do you know the history of the gun? Well, no, I bought it from my neighbor. Has it had a trigger job? Well, yeah, it's had a trigger job, so what? It's got a nice, smooth, light trigger. Okay, the easiest way to get a light trigger is to clip a coil or 2 off your mainspring. It'll give you a light trigger. It'll also give you a light firing pin strike or hammer strike. I mean, so, probably the number one cause of FTFs are trigger jobs or action jobs. And there's better ways to do a trigger job, but it requires honing and skill. The one that requires no skill is to clip the mainspring. Hey, my trigger's lighter. Gun's not working with every brand of ammo now. Must be some bad brands of ammo or some bad batches of primers. Neither are likely. Yeah, they might be in the 1 percentile of causes of FTFs, if even 1%. So anyway,
you only say that because you own an ammo company and you're not being transparent.
Oh, I'm being freaking transparent. I spent half my life running around tracking this stuff down. And I mean, even people that work for me have had this happen. Well, I was shooting blah, blah, blah ammo, like my webmaster, Wayne. Wayne's a lifelong friend. Wayne's son is a full bird colonel in the Air Force. Wayne's a good guy. Him and his son like to shoot. So they buy an AK-47 or 2. I don't know how many they've got. And they're shooting 7.62 by 39 ammo. And works pretty good at first. Then they switch ammo. They start getting FTFs. And he calls me. He goes, it's got to be this ammo, right? And I said, it's doubtful. It was a major brand of ammo. I can't remember what it was. It was like Wolf ammo or whatever. But Wolf ammo gets a bad rap because they use steel cases. Most of the Wolf ammo I've used has been pretty high quality, even though it burns a little dirty and stuff. Anyway, and I said, it's really doubtful, Wayne, that it's the ammo. So they took their 7.62 by 39 in, had somebody work on it. And as I recall, they found something wrong. There was like coils of mainspring laying inside the gun that had broken off. Whatever it was, I don't remember. But they fixed that, and then it shot every kind of ammo they could put in it. And you're always going to want to blame the ammo because it's the ammo that doesn't go off. Just like the video I did on sticky case extraction. It's the case that doesn't extract, therefore it's the fault of the case. No, your gun is far more complex than the ammo. Again, let me repeat. Ammo has 4 components: a bullet, powder, brass, and primer, all of which are stationary, all of which have the same spec and dimension the whole time until you ignite the primer. So your firing mechanism, whatever it may be, an AK-47, whatever it may be, even simple revolvers have multiple moving and locking parts. The Ruger Red Hawk is the biggest creator of FTFs I've seen because of the design. It's got a transfer bar. So when the hammer falls, it has to hit the transfer bar to then push the firing pin forward and transfer the energy into the firing pin, which then hits the primer and ignites it. Well, all too often, they're out of spec, and I mean often. And so the hammer goes forward, and hits the frame before it transfers enough energy into the transfer bar to ignite the primer. And to give you an example, years ago, I own many Red Hawks. I don't like Super Red Hawks. To me, they look like a boat anchor. They feel like a boat anchor. It's just personal choice. But the standard Red Hawk, I'm a fan of. Own many of them. And I bought a 4-inch barreled 44 mag, and every so often I get an FTF. Didn't matter on the type of ammo. Most of that ammo at that point was buffalo bore ammo. And on our 44 mag, we generally, but not always, use CCI 350 primers. And they're made within industry spec, and CCI doesn't make bad batches of primers, none of that. So I got tired of fiddling around with it, so I thought I'd take it into Missoula to a gunsmith I knew there. His name was Matt. And so I go walking into Matt's shop. I call first and say, I'm going to be in Missoula. Can I bring this handgun in? He's like, sure, I'll be there such and such days, such and such times. So I go walking in with this Red Hawk in my hand, and as a courtesy to the gunsmith, I've got the cylinder open, with my finger through the frame carrying it, because they never know if people are dumb enough to carry a loaded gun in there. So I go walking in, he sees the Red Hawk in my hand, and he goes, and this is a quote, "Let me guess, you're having FTFs in that gun." He had fixed enough Red Hawks that when he saw me walking in with a Red Hawk, he knew what the problem was. So all Matt did was machine 20 thousandths off the face of the hammer. So when the hammer goes forward and hits the frame, it has to go forward 20 thousandths of an inch further to hit the frame, and that allows it to transfer more energy into the transfer bar. 20 thousandths of an inch isn't very much. That gun has never FTF'd since then, ever. So keep in mind, guns have all these moving parts, even revolvers, especially if somebody's tried to make them safer than the original Rugers and they put transfer bars in them. When you add more moving parts and more dimensions and more tolerances that you have to obtain to get the whole thing to work right, it's more complex. Marlin rifles have a Marlin lever actions, have a 2-piece firing pin. Well, if everything doesn't line up right, you're going to get FTFs out of your Marlin Model 336, which is also a Model 1895. It's just a Model 336 named 1895. And I found in talking with Ashley Emerson one time, he had fixed a number of these. He said, I just go into the channel in the bolt that the 2-piece firing pin travels through, and I just hone it, make it real smooth, and make sure it doesn't have a bunch of sludge and junk in it. Okay, so other causes. I should have put in here gun design as one of them. Other causes. I talked about mainsprings. I talked about trigger and action jobs. Extreme cold weather can be a booger, because if you're using the wrong kind of oil in your gun, it'll sludge up in really cold weather. It's no longer a lubricant, it's a adherent. It doesn't work as a lubricant. Another thing, a lot of people like to clean their guns and they'll use good penetrating oils. Well, that's really good until you use too much of it. You use too much penetrating oil and leave a bunch of it in the action of your gun. Guess what it's going to contaminate? It's going to penetrate into your primer. It's penetrating oil. That's what it's supposed to do. The ammo definitely won't go off. It's not really the fault of the ammo. It's user error. And I've seen that a lot. When I was a kid, I had no idea what I was doing. I was about 10 years old. I had a Ruger 1022 and I shot the thing to death. I'm probably the only guy on earth that's ever worn out a Ruger 1022. And the magazine got all sludged up. It was just very dirty, and I didn't really know a lot about cleaning guns. I still don't. And so I poured a bunch of oil in that magazine, and I was taking ammo in and out, and finally it loosened up a lot of the sludge, and I wiped a bunch of it off with toilet paper. And so finally my magazine was working right. Well, yeah, it was full of oil. So I loaded the thing, and like a week went by without me shooting, which was impossible. I shot every day after school, when chores were done, before school, all summer long. I mean, my dad was always in a fight with me. Did you do your chores? So anyway, like a week goes by and I go out to shoot it and I pull the trigger and it goes, and I see the bullet hit the ground in front of me about 20 feet away. I'm like, what? I pull the trigger again, and I see the bullet hit the dirt in front of me. I pull the trigger again, and I just, it sounded different. Huh, what was that? I didn't see the bullet hit the ground. So look at that. The action isn't cycling all the way on some of these. I'm getting jams. I'm having all kinds of problems. I cycle another round by hand into the chamber. I pull the trigger. Nothing happens. I'm like, well, I guess I'll quit shooting. I go home and show to my dad. I had 2 or 3 bullets stuck in the barrel because some of them just, once you stick the first bullet, the second bullet hits it, and then the next bullet hits that, and you end up with a whole string of bullets stuck in your barrel. And it was just because I was a 10 or 11-year-old kid, or however old I was, trying to get my dirty magazine to work again. A lot of these things are user error. Okay. We talked about lubricants getting gummed up, but it doesn't have to be extreme cold weather to do that. Lubricants can get gummed up with age. Certain kind of oils turn tacky, and it's not a good deal. Broken firing pins. I can't tell you how many broken firing pins I've seen. So usually if it's the ammo's fault, somehow the primer's been contaminated. Oh, by the way, there's headspace issues in guns. If the cartridge chamber's too far forward or not enough forward, then that's the same as having too short a firing pin or too long a firing pin. That can happen. If you're shooting a semi-auto that very insignificantly is not going all the way into battery, and you pull the trigger, the firing pin will hit the end of the bolt and then close the bolt the rest of the way. But all the inertia is used up. It doesn't go into the primer. It went into moving the bolt forward. You'll look at it and you'll go, hey, that bolt was all the way closed. Everything was in battery. There's something wrong with this ammo. There's 1,000 ways to improperly diagnose what's going on with firearms, ammunition. And the problem is it's without a whole bunch of experience, you just don't know. So it's not like it's really anybody's fault, but I'm doing this video just before we leave Africa because I want people to have something to look at and maybe learn something new from while we travel back to the States. So folks, hopefully the subject of FTFs, this means something, and I'm not covering for faulty ammo. People have so much suspicion of stuff. Y'all out there must be very dishonest people. Because if you're a trusting person and if you're looking for knowledge, you understand this stuff when you hear it, or at least you're willing to consider it. But people that deceive people always think other people are trying to deceive them. Not doing that. Have no interest in doing that in any video. I get accused of it all the time in the comments. So folks, do me a favor, please, and hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. All it'll do is notify you every time we put out a new video. It'll go straight to your email, so it'll just send you a link to go watch the video. We need as many subscribers as we can, and we've grown rapidly, incredibly fast, because of my no BS style, except in some people's minds, somehow the least politically correct guy, the least BS guy, probably on the whole planet gets accused of BSing people because you can't read my personality, or because you're just a BSer yourself, so you think everybody else is.
It lets us know you appreciate Tim's knowledge and the time we're spending to provide this to all of you. If you don't like it, you don't want to believe it, you think we're full of shit, you think Tim's a scammer and non-transparent, then just go somewhere else. You don't need the benefits of our videos. We really don't want you here. Those of you that are grateful, appreciative, and are learning, God bless you. We appreciate you. And Tim will continue trying to help everybody learn more.
My goal here is to is to get rid of the myths and superstitions and flat out ignorance in the gun industry. Kim talked me into doing this YouTube channel, and I said, all right, I'm going to do it. Originally, it was in affiliation with our affiliate marketing site, and that's why we had the motto, shit has to work, because we're selling products like boots and shoes and tents and backpacks as an affiliate marketer. And I haven't plugged that in over 2 months, but shit has to work. And the response we've had on YouTube has been nothing short of amazing for the most part. People love hearing this stuff. You might have known all the potential causes of an FTF except one. And if I brought up one new thing you hadn't thought of, then this video was beneficial. So that's my plan. That's my goal. I've got Kim cracking the whip on me, making sure I do videos every other day, and always reminding me of the stuff I leave out. So folks, we actually love you guys. This is a shooting community. We're supposed to have some sort of brotherhood, some sort of connection. I don't find that is really the case, unfortunately. But may God bless, and hopefully this is of some use to you, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.